All right, let's go ahead and get started. I got my friend of mine here, Kelvin Davis, lifelong friend of mine. So he's going to come on board today and share some items with us about credit. Uh, and I know in my line of business, I can't exist without credit. And I don't think any business for that matter can actually exist without credit. I think you have to have some form of credit to understand something about credit and get your credit to a certain point to where you can actually conduct business. But I have a few questions that I wanted to ask Calvin. And I guess the
All
first
right.
one we're gonna start off. Can you hear me? Does everything sound good?
I can't hear you. How does my sound?
Very loud, very loud.
Very loud.
Yeah. I
How
can get
about
it.
now?
No, bring it back to you,
Okay.
man. That was good. That was better what you had. Bring it back. There you
All
go.
right.
Testing.
All right. Testing 1, 2, 3.
That's good,
Testicles
man. That
1,
sounds a
2,
whole
3.
lot better than
All
what it
right.
was. It don't sound like you muffled inside of a tunnel or something. Hey, Kevin, let me ask you this right here.
$20 will go a long way.
I want to get started here. So you use and Kelvin guys does credit repair. Can you kind of explain to us how does actually how credit repair works?
Definitely. Credit repair is basically the strategization of figuring out how to clean your credit, improve your credit, and ultimately build your credit. So most people don't even know where they are credit wise. And with the allowance of one free credit report from each of the three agencies per year, everyone should have a good idea of where they are credit wise. So I always suggest that at least once a year, you pull your credit reports and see where you are. Through human error and just erroneous information, you'll find that there are several mistakes listed on your credit report. Now, these mistakes need to be corrected and can be corrected, but if you don't know what your credit report says, then you won't, know where to start as far as correcting. Once you have your credit report, once you understand what it says, once you find that there are errors there, then from there we go to improve your credit profile, which basically consists of, again, strategizing to come up with ways to remove inaccurate or erroneous information. And that can include several things, but primarily you're looking at contacting the credit bureaus through a series of letters to let them know what the issues are and what they need to do about it, what you're requesting or demanding that they do about it, whether it's removing the erroneous information, updating the erroneous information, or correcting a misspelled name, wrong address, or um, uh, um, well, those are pretty much the things that you're looking at, either removing, updating, or correcting.
Okay, let me ask. So if I want to repair my credit, how long does this typically works? How long does it take for me to actually, if I had bad credit, et cetera, give me an idea how long it'll take for me to repair that repair the credit report.
All right. And of course, it depends on the individual, but generally speaking, because the credit bureaus have up to 30 days to respond to any letter that we send, any letter disputing information on our credit report, you're looking at a minimum of 35 days to receive a response. Now, if they do everything that we ask and wipe the slate clean or correct any and all errors that we bring to their attention, then that'll pretty much be the end of the situation. But most often you'll find that they'll send back information that they were able to verify the items that we're disputing. They're able to verify that the information is correct, that it is accurate, and they'll refuse to remove that information. Well, that's not the end of the story, but it does stretch out the process. So that 35 days could turn into 6 months, but we always suggest and recommend that people do not give up, that they continue on and understand that it's not a sprint, but it's a marathon. And as long as the end product is what we want it to be, then they should keep their faith up, understanding that it's perseverance and persistence that's going to win this race, this credit repair
So,
race.
so now what you're saying is that now if it's a hard, not what, if it's something that's on my credit, and let's just say I messed up,
Right.
I messed up, I did something, didn't pay a credit card off, and so you're telling me that I can have that removed if I just stick with it? Is
I'm
that what I'm
telling you
hearing?
that if you have late payments, if you have missed payments, if you have a situation where you lost a job or something happened, medical bills took over, every dime that you had, and you were unable to pay the credit card at all, and they wound up charging it off or sending you to collections. I'm saying that you can have any and all of that information removed. As concerning the collections, charge-offs, missed payments, late payments, that information, there is nothing in the law that says that there must be information reported on your credit report. That information, all of it concerning you, is your private information. We have a right to privacy as American citizens. Now, the credit report is important in that banks and lenders will use it to make a determination on whether or not they're going to extend you credit. So you want a credit report, you want to have a good credit score. So I'm not saying, take yourself out of the matrix and, be off the radar. I'm saying that that credit report has your private information. And because it's your private information, you make the decision on what's being reported on that report. There are laws that state that um, if there's personal information concerning you on that credit report, then you can demand that it be removed. There are things on there that are positive that you want to stay on your credit report, but if there's something negative like a bankruptcy, a lawsuit, a judgment or a lien, or like we were talking about credit card, negative credit card information, you can argue with the credit bureaus, credit reporting agencies, that that's personal information, you want it removed or you want it corrected.
I never knew that. I'll be
Right.
honest with you. I just that's a new one for me. Let me
Most
ask you.
people
So
can.
now, what would be considered like, say, for instance, if I wanted to, I don't know if I wanted to. I don't want to say buying a car because everybody's trying to buy a car, or,
Right.
maybe a house or something like that, or maybe get a business line of credit. What would be considered in a good credit score?
Well, good credit score, generally speaking, if you can manage 680, then that's a good score. All right.
Okay.
800, of course, is exceptional. All right. So I want to say low to mid-range 600 is fair. Higher 6 to 750 is good. 750 into 850 is great or excellent. So you can achieve most of what you want with the high 600s, as far as getting a mortgage, to getting into a house, getting a decent interest rate for a car purchase, in the high 600s. So I tell people, if you can manage to get a 680 credit score, then you're doing great. You're doing better than most.
Well, let me ask this right here. So now, let's just say I got bad, well, not bad credit, but maybe my credit score is, I don't know, 580, and I
Okay.
want to bump it up about 100, maybe 200 points. Can you give me some steps that I can take in order to move my credit
Absolutely.
score up like that?
Absolutely. And
Um,
again, we want to go to the source. We want to go to the source. We don't want to deal with the results. We want to go to the source. And the source of most bad credit scores are the credit reports themselves. So we want to order our credit reports. We want to see where we are. And I always liken it to being in the mall. If you want to find a particular store, you'll go to that directory and it'll show the red X that says you are here. And then you find the store that you want to go to and you navigate from that X to that store. And that's the best route to take instead of walking around the mall, trying to find this particular store. Get your credit report, find out what's going on. If there's inaccurate or erroneous information on there. You want to know if there are any derogatory statements on there, late payments, missed payments, things of that nature, any delinquent accounts, anything like that. You want to work on clearing those things up. But it may be that you don't have any of that stuff on there. You just have, like you say, a low score. Well, if you haven't done anything with your credit, then your credit will not just naturally build on its own. You have to actually exercise credit. It's kind of like going to the gym. You know, we all have the same amount of muscles, but the ones that go to the gym and work out, you know, their muscles are bigger and, you know, more weighty because they exercise those things. The people who have the higher credit scores are the ones who actually exercise their credit. So what the problem may be, if it's not a derogatory information type situation, it may simply be that they don't have enough credit. So you want to, and that's a part of what I'm saying as far as improving your credit. You want to have at least 5 to 10 credit accounts. And banks, lenders, they want to see that you're able to handle yourself in different credit situations. So you don't want to just have credit cards, which are revolving accounts. You want to have a good mix, just like a nice salad. You don't just want to have lettuce. You want to have carrots and eggs and ham and cheese and, you know, all this other stuff in there. That makes up a good salad. With your credit mix, you want to have not only credit cards, you want to have a mortgage on there, some real estate based account. You want to have a car account, and these are installment accounts. You want to show them that you're able to handle yourself in different situations. You want to have maybe a student loan, you know, different types of accounts that show that you're able to handle yourself in various situations. You don't have to have those particular type of accounts, but different accounts to show banks that, hey, if I get into a 30-year situation, I can handle myself. If I get into a 72-month situation, I can handle myself. If I get into a 12-month situation, I can handle myself. So banks want to know that you have that sort of flexibility as concerning credit. And you want to build your credit up. Now, there are different businesses that are set up that will allow you to build up your credit, whether it's with a secured credit card or a secured loan. And you can go to a site like Self Lender, and they'll allow you to take out a secured loan. And unlike the conventional secured loans where you have to put up money and then they loan that money back to you, with Self, it's basically you making deposits, monthly deposits into a savings account with them, and they'll report to the credit reporting agencies that you have a secured loan. And whatever program you set up, say you want to save $10,000 over the course of a year. Well, let's say $12,000 to make the math easy. So you'll deposit $1,000 with Self every month over the course of that year. They'll report to the credit reporting agencies that you have, excuse me, my sinuses, that you have a $12,000 loan. And as long as you're keeping up your payments, they'll report that you have a $12,000 loan. Not that you're making $1,000 monthly payments, but that you have a $12,000 loan, that you're current because you are making your $1,000 payments. And now all of a sudden your credit is strengthened because they see you have a $12,000 installment loan reporting monthly to your credit report. These are the type of things that will strengthen your credit and cause your credit score to boost. As you make regular on-time payments to your credit cards, to your mortgage, to your car, to your secured credit cards or secured loans, whatever you choose to do. And there are other things, but I'm not going to go through a whole list right now. Those things build up your credit score. It takes time. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon, but those are the type of things that you'll do to build your credit score.
Let me ask this right here. So now, what if I did get some things on my credit? You know, I kind of made a couple of mistakes. I did things like hard inquiries, you know, things like that, or settled debt. I mean, you can start off with either one of them, hard inquiries or settled debt. How do I get that thing removed, like a hard inquiry?
All right.
How do I
Now, of
get
course,
that
the hard
removed?
inquiry, I got you. And the hard inquiries come when lenders or anyone who's looking to potentially extend credit your way looks at your credit report to see if you're a worthy candidate for it. So those things are there to let other potential lenders know, if you're shopping your credit around for whatever reason, and, kind of raises flags to let them know, hey, this person is out shopping for credit. They may or may not be in trouble looking to, use credit to take care of a bad situation. So if you have a bunch of inquiries on your credit report, your likelihood of being denied for new credit goes up. So you want to get rid of those hard inquiries. One thing I found is when people go to car dealerships, the car dealer will shop your credit around 10, 15 different places without you requesting it. You're looking at them to make a determination, but they're in the back room shopping your credit around at 10, 15 different places. Now, each time you get a hard inquiry, your score will actually drop 1 to 2 points. So you're looking at 15 inquiries, that's potentially 30 points, 15 to 30 points that your credit score will drop, and you're just looking to get a car or whatever.
Let me say this.
The way that you get,
go ahead. I was going to say something right quick, like before I forget this point on those hard inquiries, because I was doing something just recent with those hard inquiries. If you have a hard inquiry, but they can't match up, which, say for instance, if I had, I don't know, Alabama Power credit union to run a hard inquiry, I was trying to get a line of credit. Right. And they run out, and they're going to run a hard inquiry. Well, what I noticed is that hard inquiry that was ran need to match up with what I actually did. So if I had a hard inquiry with Alabama Power, it needs to match up with the fact that they did a line of credit for me. And that can be, all those hard inquiries need to match up with something. Now, if you got hard inquiries and over here you don't have anything, which means, just like you were saying, you're just shopping for stuff, that don't look good at all. So that's what and that actually affected me. And I can just say that affected me. But now, how can you remove those things though?
Well, basically what you're going to do is contact the credit reporting agencies, Experian, TransUnion, Equifax, and let them know that, hey, there was an inquiry to my credit report that didn't have anything to do with me. I didn't request that my credit be checked by this particular company, and I want it removed. Well, you don't necessarily have to go so far. It is a form of identity theft, honestly. You may not have to go to that level, but it is in fact actually identity theft in a form or fashion where your inquiry or your credit was looked into without your permission.
But now, what I'm saying is, if you actually did have the hard inquiry on there.
Yeah, that's the next point I'm about to
make.
My
bad. I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, the first point is if it wasn't you. Now we're gonna get into if it was you.
Okay. All right.
All right. So, so if it was in fact you, it's the same thing. Basically, you want to go to them and let them know, listen, this wasn't me. I did not make this inquiry, and I want to remove from my credit report. All right. Someone looked into my credit that didn't have my permission. There was no permissible purpose for them looking into my credit. And you made a very good point. For those things that there's an inquiry and there's an actual account that's opened up, you don't want to argue those, because you run a potential of them, especially with the credit card. If you argue that that was not you, that someone else did it that was not you, then you run a potential of them shutting down that credit card, because fraud, identity theft, or whatever, they don't want that, because if somebody uses that card that's not you and they don't pay it, then that's just money lost. So for a card that you have, we're talking about revolving credit cards right now. For cards that you have, you don't want to argue against those things. But the ones that you don't have, like you mentioned, you have an inquiry, but there's no account hooked up to it because you were denied the credit or whatever. Those are the ones that you want to go to the credit reporting agency and have them to demand, request that those things removed. Now, again, with the hard inquiries, they're only on your report for up to 2 years. They only really affect your score for up to 1 year. So where your score may drop 1 to 2 points per inquiry, it's not as detrimental as delinquency, late payment, charge off, or collections type account, or a bankruptcy judgment lien, something like that, those type of derogatories. And as a matter of fact, on your credit report, they have a separate section for hard inquiries, and they're at the bottom of the list. So they're not as detrimental. You may, want them off there just for whatever reason, but they're not as critical to your credit score as most people may think. It's just an irritating type thing, kind of like a fly buzzing around in your ear. Mm-hmm. But if you want to have them removed, the thing to do is to contact the credit reporting agencies, let them know that those things were crap, I hate when I forget words. They were initiated by someone other than you, and you want them removed because of that fact.
Okay, is this the same thing would be on settled debt as well? Would you do the same thing, very similar?
Well, you mean, okay, like collections, charge offs, things of that nature?
Correct.
Well, and I never recommend that you pay collections if we're looking to clean up your credit report. Now, if you've done it in the past, and I mean, you can't go back in the past, of course, but for the future, I never recommend that you pay collections, because most often the collection is an account that was sold by the original creditor, whether it was a cable company, a medical provider, or a cell phone provider, whoever it was. They sold that debt. They figured that they couldn't get it from you. So they sold the debt to a company that buys a bunch of debts, pennies on the dollar, and their whole business is to collect bad debt.
Yeah.
Well, with the collections, because I never made a contract with you, debt collector, you don't have the right to come after me for this collection. So my thing is, you have to show that there's some sort of agreement that ties the money you're saying I owe to me and my responsibility to pay it to you. So I'm going to request that you send me some document with my signature on it, one establishing a debt in the first place. And most often all of that paperwork doesn't get transferred from the original creditor to the to the debt collector. So I'm going to demand that you send me something with my signature on it that I said I was going to pay that debt in the first place. I'm going to ask that you send me something that says you're able to practice business in my state. I'm going to contact the attorney general and let them know somebody's trying to conduct business in Alabama illegally. I'm going to basically hit them with 4 or 5 different things that if they can't prove to me that they're qualified to collect this debt from me, then they need to go away. All right. And then I'm going to also go to the credit reporting agencies and let them know that I dispute this debt and I want it off of my credit report. What I have going on with these jokers is one thing, but you put my personal information, which I'm saying is erroneous, inaccurate, and shouldn't be on my credit report, that's another thing. So I'm fighting them on both sides. Now, the CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which is an actual government bureau. The credit, we call them credit bureaus, but they aren't bureaus. They aren't a part of the government. They're for business companies. So the government has set up a Consumer Financial Protection Bureau to protect you and me, our rights, not to have our private information reported, and especially if it's wrong information. So if the credit reporting agencies refuse to take this wrong information off my report, I have a government agency that I can go to. The government is my friend. I'm able to go to this government agency and let them know that these folks aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing, and they're reporting this information. It's damaging me as an American citizen, my credit. And here in America, credit is crucial. It can be the difference between life and death in a person's situation, and they're mucking it up. So I want you to investigate them and have them to remove this particular information. So, and it goes deeper. It goes deeper. You can actually sue the agencies for $1,000 per wrong posting on your credit reports. So, but in either event, to answer your question, yes, you can have those things removed. You can fight it on 2 fields. And if you get one to back down, you don't have to worry about the other, but you can, hit them, like I say, from both sides, pulling down the government on top of the head. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. If you're willing to be persistent in it, you can absolutely get those things removed and keep your money in your pocket. Do not pay a collections account if you're looking to clean up your credit. If you pay them, they don't necessarily have to remove it off of your credit report. Just because you pay the collections doesn't mean it's going to automatically fall off your credit report. You'll still have to argue with the credit reporting agency to get it removed off your credit report any doggone way. So you might as well keep your money in your pocket and commence the fighting, because you don't have to do that anyway.
Oh man, I didn't know it was that deep, man. That's a lot of
Oh yeah.
That's a lot of work, and you probably only gave away just a small
Oh
portion
yeah.
of the
It goes
goodies.
deep.
Um,
Yeah.
it probably goes a whole lot deeper than that, don't it?
It does, but I mean, you can definitely take that and use it to your advantage to get those things removed from your credit report.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna just hey man, I really appreciate you coming on here with me and
I
just
appreciate you, brother.
kind of explaining this to us and just trying to get us prepared. Is there any way that I tell you what, when I'm gonna leave your information in the description box,
Thank you.
your website and all of those things in the description box so that people want to contact you. And right, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna leave it up on the screen as well.
All
So
right.
people that want to get in contact with you, they know how to get in contact with you and get with you with your services and what you provide for them. And once
I
again, man, I
appreciate
want
it.
to appreciate you for coming out here with us. And hey, man, you have a wealth of knowledge, and you keep doing what you're doing. I think this is a
Thank you.
great thing.
All
Okay,
right.
thanks.
Appreciate you, brother. Yes, sir.